Welcome to this week's There's a Book in My Nook, and the first book that I'm going to talk about is The Moment Before by Susie Vitello. This is in the young adult department, and this is the story of Brady Wilson. Brady and her sister Sabine are sisters, and they're called Irish twins because they were born less than a year apart. Well, it starts out, and Sabine has just died in a cheerleading accident. She was doing a stunt for a pep rally in the gym. She was thrown up in the air. The guy who was supposed to catch her missed, and she fell and hit her chin on the gymnasium floor, and it instantly broke her neck. So, and this is kind of like the fallout of what's happening after. Her sister Brady was a couple years, like I said, not quite a year younger than her, and she's always the artsy one. She wasn't as popular as Sabine, who was like completely, everyone's friend, and she had the quarterback boyfriend and everything. Her parents have completely fallen apart. Her dad's drinking. Her mom is like a robot. It's just really bad at home. And Brady's skipping classes. Well, it ends up she runs into the boy. I think his name is Christopher. I'm trying to think, or is it Connor? I can't quite remember what his name was. But he's the one who's being blamed for dropping her. So was popular, and now he's in big trouble. And to find out, they did a blood test afterwards. I don't really know why. I thought that was kind of odd. But anyway, he came up positive for marijuana. Now, granted, the marijuana had not been in his marijuana stays in your system for a long time. So they said it was not like he was under the influence. It had been there from like weeks before. But you know how people are, they instantly assume that, oh, he was high and he dropped her. Well, her parents can't stand even the thought of this boy. They completely blame him. Well, him and Brady are caught in a hailstorm out in the parking lot, and it ends up where they both get into her car to get out of the hail. They start talking, and she finds out, he's going through a lot too, and he says that he didn't drop her. That's not what happened. He said, she was my friend. I don't want to air her dirty laundry. I think it's best if you don't know what really happened. Which she's like, I have no idea what he's talking about. Well, then she gets the idea that she's going to go through her sister's phone and listen to the messages. Well, it's locked. She can't get the password.
Wait a minute, I'm confused here.
Mm-hmm.
The person he's talking to, is that the one that fell, or this is
No,
the sister of the
sister.
one? Okay.
Yeah.
Is the one who fell, is she paralyzed, or?
She's dead. It snapped her neck.
She's dead.
Yeah, it snapped her neck and she died instantly.
Oh.
Yeah.
And so he's saying that she had some dirty secrets.
There's more to the story.
The one that died.
Yeah, that it wasn't just simply, I wasn't at the right spot to catch her and she fell and died and it's his fault. But he says he doesn't want to tell everybody that because he was good friends with her sister and he doesn't want everyone knowing what really happened and basically tarnishing her memory.
So is he saying like she committed suicide?
So, no. So she gets into the phone and finds out. Well, I don't know if I should even tell because then it would ruin the book if I tell what happened.
Okay, well, don't say.
But it's not what you think, and it actually isn't his fault. It really isn't. And she ends up falling for him because they both are sharing what they know about the sister and the experience that, how everyone's treating them, and so they actually end up falling for each other.
So they never tell anybody else? They just keep it between them?
It does come out.
Oh, it does come out, okay.
Because it involves another person as well, and she eventually confronts this person about what she knows, and that leads to a whole avalanche of things.
That cheerleader group.
Yeah. Oh, hey. Also, she doesn't really want her parents to find out because she doesn't want her parents thinking different about her sister either. But so it's kind of like, do you tell? And this poor guy takes the blame for something he didn't do. And now
sounds like here he is.
Well, yeah, but she doesn't. It's even more than that. And now that she's in a relationship with him, her parents are saying, oh, no, not going to happen. He's never allowed over here, sort of thing. And she's like, he's not who you think he is, blah, blah, blah. So it is very good. It was what you think is not what exactly is going on. And I mean, I thought it was especially good for someone who's gone through loss because it really deals with how, I've heard this before, luckily I've never experienced this myself, but when someone, especially a child, dies in a family, a lot of times the parents' marriage does not make it.
Right.
It tears the whole family apart. And she feels, she misses her sister, and she also, though, in some ways, feels a little resentful because her parents act like her being alive isn't enough anymore and she feels bad that she feels that way, but she feels kind of neglected, and they're doing a lot of things that they shouldn't be doing, let's put it that way, in dealing with their grief. So I really liked this one, and I thought it's not very big either, so a nice read. And if you like that one, some other ones that kind of deal with death in a family. This one I have not read, but I thought this looked really interesting. It's called Willow, and Willow is by Julia Hoban. And this is the story of Willow, and she's out having dinner with her parents. Her parents have a couple glasses of wine and say to Willow, we probably shouldn't drive. Can you drive us home? I guess there's like a storm, and she crashes the car and kills both of her parents.
Is she old enough to drive?
It doesn't really, they say they ask her to drive them home. I would say she must be. It doesn't say that she shouldn't be.
Right.
She has to go live with her older brother, and he's not for sure how he feels.
So the older brother has already left the house?
Yeah.
Okay.
He doesn't quite know how he feels about this. She feels extreme guilt. She thought, here my parents were doing the responsible thing, and it killed them. And so she starts cutting herself. We've talked about that before. She finds a guy at school who realizes what's going on with her, and he's trying to help her. But I can't imagine driving and you kill both of your parents.
No.
So I think this would be a good one to read. I mean,
she escapes unhurt?
It doesn't say she's unhurt, but I mean, she's not like...
She didn't have to go to the hospital or anything?
It doesn't tell that, but I mean, it sure does in the book, but I didn't read the book. I mean, this is just one that I had read about that I thought would go. But I mean, she doesn't have like a serious condition afterwards or anything like that. It's not like, it did irreparable harm or anything. And then another one that's been getting a lot of acclaim is Love Letters to the Dead. And this is by Ava, I think it's Delaria. And this is her first book. And there has been a lot of people going on and on about this book. And this is the premise of, this is about, I'm trying to think what the girl's name is. Laurel. Laurel's sister Amy has also died. And she has a project at school where you're supposed to write letters to someone who's famous that's deceased. She chooses Kurt Cobain because that was someone her sister likes. She finds that writing this letter actually lets her tell a lot of things that she hasn't been talking about how she feels about this. So then she starts writing letters to other deceased celebrities like Heath Ledger and who's some of the others that it says, Janis Joplin, and it kind of like becomes kind of like therapy for her to let her feelings out in these letters that she's writing to these deceased people.
What does she do with them when she gets them?
She doesn't send them. She keeps them like in a diary and like a journal. So, and it's about this story. I haven't read it, but I've heard amazing things. And Stephen Chbosky, who wrote Perks of Being a Wallflower, he has went on and on about this book, saying that it's amazing. So definitely, my daughter's reading it now. So
do we have it?
Yes, we do have it. It's checked out right now.
Right.
And I'm curious to see.
Story of all the good books.
Yeah, well, it's good they're being checked out.
Right.
But this is on my reading list. I think it sounds really interesting. So. Okay, Karen, you're up.
Okay, I will start with children's book. Pete the Cat, I Love My White Shoes. And, okay.
Glare there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There we go.
Right. There we go. This is in the children's department, and it is by Eric Litwin. And he's written several Pete the Cat books.
Right.
This one has to do with Pete gets some brand new white shoes. But as he's walking, he kind of steps into some strawberries and his shoes turn red. But you know what? He's not bothered by it. He goes on a little bit further, steps into another mess. His shoes change a different color. But you know what? He keeps on going. And there's a moral to this story. And I don't know if I want to tell you the moral of the story, but it's a very good book for kids to read because it helps them deal with, life isn't always pretty. And things are going to happen, but you know what? You keep on going. And this is a very good book on how to help kids realize that bad things are going to happen, but, there's always good at the end.
You should have dressed up your new cat in white shoes.
I should have.
I have black cats too. We could have had a whole bunch of black cats in white shoes. Getting them in the shoes would have been a different story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, is that the only black cat you have? Just one?
No, I got two.
You have two
I
black
got
cats.
two. Yep, I just adopted a new cat. His name is Thor. And when he gets a little bit older, he will match the other black cat, which is a female, and her name is Felina. So I'll have bookends with an ivory one in between.
I have 4 black cats.
Oh, they're all black?
We have 6 cats. 4 are black.
All black?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
We have 3 short hair black cats. We have JJ and Jessie, the one we call Wifey because of her love of my son, and their brother and sister. And then their other brother is Louie, and he's long-haired black cat. And then the mom is long-haired, and her name is Sabrina. So we have the mom, and all 3 kids are black.
Yeah, when we were, in fact, everybody keeps saying when we named the last black cat Thor, everybody thinks he's blonde because I guess Thor was
had
blonde hair.
Yeah,
I didn't think of that. The only reason why I named him Thor was because he's been in a cage his whole entire life. He came to the Vermilion Animal Shelter in a cage, and he's been in a cage ever since, and he's almost a year old. So that's a long time, and so I thought he has survived, strength, so that's why I named him Thor. So let's hope he lives up to his name.
Yeah. We have a gray cat also who is the father of the kittens, and his name is Jack, but it's J-A-K. And he's named after a, I guess, video game character. Can't think
What
of
video game?
It's Jack and something. I can't think of it now. My kids named him because when Jack was dumped at my parents' house when he was like this big. He was like days old. And it was him and his brother didn't make it. But Jack did, and I mean, he fought through a respiratory illness and all these things, and he made it through, so they named him Jack from this hero in this video game. But it's J-A-K, but I can't think of what the name of that video game is.
She'll think of it halfway
I'll think of it halfway through. That's what I usually do, and then yell it out. Yep.
Another, I guess maybe this time unconsciously I must have done a theme of, what do I want to say, life's mishaps that these kids have, or
I thought of the name.
Pete. What?
Jack and Daxter.
That's a video game?
Mm-hmm.
Never heard of it.
Yep. So.
Anyway, this book is called Wonder. It's in the juvenile department by R.J. Palacio, and this was the very first book that she had also written. And it has to do with what's funny is the very inside of the cover, I believe, this kid has a facial deformity. And he says, whatever you're thinking, it's probably 10 times worse. Meaning, however bad you think his facial deformity is, in real life, it's worse than what you could even imagine. And because of his facial deformity, he has always been homeschooled. Well, he gets to be about what would be the 5th grade, and he decides, you know what, I want to go to a regular school. Now, it's bad enough to be a new kid going to a school.
Right.
But can you imagine if you have a facial deformity
No,
that
I
people
can't.
have been staring at you your whole entire
And they didn't
life?
have a chance to get used to it when he was little. They're just
Correct.
being,
Correct. And, he tells stories about how when he was little, like 4 or 5, where they would take him places and all these kids would just stare and, you'd have the parents saying, don't look, or don't say anything, and sometimes that's worse than
Right.
if the kid just came up and asked some questions, But anyway, he goes to the school, and of course it's rocky. And the principal thinks to make his experience a little bit better, he wants to have these 3 people be his friends. Well, they don't exactly turn out to be the friends that he was hoping that they would be. And so it talks about all the trial and tribulations that he goes through going to this school and going into the mainstream. And this was another one that has to do with a father relationship. It was his mom who took care of him, who homeschooled him. But when he goes back into the school, his father takes a different look, or should I say, has a different approach on how he treats him. And the father gets a little more involved because as he gets older, he needs more of his dad's help than he does
Right.
with his mom, because he feels like his mom is babying him. His mom wants to protect him, whereas the dad's saying, we got to let him suffer through this. We've got to let him,
Deal with it.
experience it. Yeah. And it's a very, very, very good book. And I recommend any kid, you don't have to have a facial deformity to feel like you don't fit in. And any kid who feels like they don't fit in for whatever reason, personality-wise, looks, characteristics, whatever, this is a great book to read to show you that you think you've got problems, but there's people out there who've got a lot worse problems. So it's just a very, very enlightening, good book. And there's even some funny parts in it, very funny parts that, he makes his situation, he makes light of it, because it is such a huge deformity that he chooses to make light of it, because if he dwelled on it, he just, this is something he has to live with, so he might as well make the best of it.
Kind of like you ever see that movie Mask?
Yes, with Cher.
That was kind of like that. He had a good sense of humor. And
yes. Or also The Elephant Man, which I am a man, not an animal.
But it wasn't really. There wasn't as much humor in that. Mask had more of humor, and
But in The Elephant Man, he had, they had told him he had to sleep a certain way because of the deformity of his face in order for him to breathe. And it got to the point as he got older, he says, what quality of life do I have if I have to keep taking precautions to live? And he decided one day, I'm going to be a normal person. I'm going to sleep a normal way. You'll have to watch the movie to find out what happens. Yep. Great. I mean, and that's what these people, with their adversities, they decide, enough. I'm going to live as normal life as I can and deal with whatever, outcome happens or whatever the repercussions are of living the life. And another one, this isn't really a, what do I want to say, a struggle, but this is in the adult section. This is a series that has been off and on the New York Times bestseller, and it's by Jeffrey Archer. And it's called The Clifton Chronicles. And right now there's 4 books in it, and the 5th book doesn't come out until 2015. And I don't know. I don't know if I can wait that long. I mean, I had no choice.
So you've read all 4.
I've read all 4. And it starts with the very first one is Only Time Will Tell. And it's a classic story of poor boy, rich girl, and they fall in love. But there's a catch to them falling in love. There's a there's a secret between, but they choose to ignore the secret and to live their life as if they don't even know the secret exists. And, of course, there's the arch enemies that are trying to bring this couple down and everything. And the next one is the sins of the father. Best kept secret is number 3, and then be careful what you wish for. And the 5th one is not titled yet, and like I said, it comes out in 2015. And what I'm beginning to wonder is in this very last book, they're showing you what the characters look like, which makes me think that they might be making a movie out of it, because
a lot of times they
most
do that.
people won't show you what they look like because they want you to have it in your own mind of what you think the characters look like. But when they start showing the characters, it makes you wonder.
Have you Googled it to see?
No, I have not.
You should. There's about it.
Yes, I should. But like I said, it's the classic tale, and it's like 480 pages to like each book, and I read it in 3 nights because it's just one of those books you cannot.
Never even heard of it.
Oh my gosh, it is fantastic, fantastic. Me and another coworker that works here, she has read the series, and she was like a book ahead of me, and I don't care about spoilers, I really don't, and I wanted her to tell me what happened in the next book. It just made me read them faster, just so I could get to that to see. Just because you know what's going to happen, you don't know the details of how it happens or what they're experiencing while it happens. And I think that's what's so good about books is, like we talked about, songs give you memories, but books make you get to live out things.
Yeah. When I'm reading a book, I am that person.
Yes. And, and I know this sounds crazy, but I always think, I have to rush through the book because if I shut the book and put it down, what are those characters? Those characters are in limbo because, they can't do anything until I pick up the book and read it again, And I mean, it is. And when I was younger, I used to read the Harlequin romance things. Mm-hmm. And everybody used to say, oh, why do you want to read those? Because when you read those, you think this prince in
Right.
is going to come in and rescue you, and you're going to go through all this drama, and he's going to make everything okay. And everybody was like, don't read those kinds of books because they're just big letdowns, because
I think
that's not what life is
everybody
like.
has gone, I shouldn't say everybody,
Yes.
most women have gone through the romance phase, especially
Yes.
when you're younger. I mean,
Yes.
they even had, there was even several series. Harlequin even had a teen series.
Yes.
I remember reading those,
Mhm.
and I remember getting them every week. I would get one at the grocery store with my mom.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
there was, there's always been teen.
And that's it. With books, when you read especially a good book like Letters of the Dead or this series, and you think, okay, well, it helps you deal with maybe with a crisis that you're going through in your life, or problems.
I've learned things too. Like I've read
Yeah.
even historical romances. They have to be accurate. There are a lot of
Right.
If you read historical romances, you can learn a lot of things about
Exactly.
different times in history. So there are things you can learn a lot from
Exactly.
books.
And when you read these books, like the one Wonder, and I think that's why that's the name of it, because you wonder, how does that person feel with that
Right.
deformity? And you get to see, they have the same insecurities as what you're thinking when you see that person. It's just, can't say enough about
Right.
it.
Okay, my next book is Spellcaster by Claudia Gray. And she's wrote some other supernatural series for young adults, and I thought I'd give this one a try, especially because it's about witches. And I like stories about witches, I'll be honest, I do. I've loved several of the TV series about books. I love Charmed about witches. I am right now, I don't know if you've heard of Witches of East End. It had its first season, and it's getting ready to start up again in July. I loved that, so I kind of like witches. And this is about, I'm trying to think what the girl's name is. I read so many a week that I have to remember what her name was. Hold on a minute. Nadia. I had to think of it. Nadia, it starts out word Nadia.
No, you had to look it up.
Huh?
You had to look it up.
What?
You looked it up.
Yeah. Okay.
You didn't think of it.
Oh, anyway, Nadia, and it's with her dad and her little brother, and her mom has left. She just decided she didn't want anything to do with them. She took off, she left, she doesn't want visitation, she wants nothing. Her dad's having a hard time. He was really in love with her mom, and they never tell you in the book why she left. There's no contact with the mom. I kept thinking something. Now, there is a second book, so maybe. But you keep thinking there's got to be more to this story. Well, her mom was a witch. She taught her the beginning of how to cast spells and charms and stuff. Then she takes off and leaves. So Nadia, her dad, and her little brother her dad decides he's going to move them to this coastal town and get away from everything, a fresh start. He was an attorney for a big company where he was gone all the time. He decided, nope, he's going to be like the city attorney. We're in a small town. They move into this big Victorian house, and she starts school there. Well, the minute as they're coming into town, it's late at night, she can feel this almost like a force field around the town of magic. She knows what magic feels like, and she's never felt anything like this. And literally when they hit the town, I don't know if you've heard of witches in their books of shadows. A lot of witch books refer to, each witch has their own book of shadows that they write their spells. It's passed down through the ages. She has it in the car. Well, it's by hitting almost a wall of a curse around the town, the car flips over, and they're in this car accident. Well, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this boy shows up and drags her and her family out of the car. And he acts like he knows who she is, like he's seen her before. She has no idea who he is. The next day, she goes to school. I'm trying to think. His name is Mateo. The next day, she goes to school, and there he is. And he wants nothing to do with her. He's avoiding her. And she's like, he saves me. Now he wants nothing to do with me. She meets a girl there named Verlaine. They become good friends. But this girl's kind of a little odd and different. And then the perfect girl in the school, Elizabeth, that everyone loves, she can tell that Elizabeth's also a witch. Nobody else knew this. And Elizabeth is not a good witch. She's using black magic. To find out, Mateo and his family have been cursed for hundreds of years that they all go insane. They hit a certain point, they see visions. That's how he knew she was going to be in that car accident. He had seen a vision of her coming into town in a car accident. He went out there and saved her. But they always have these visions, and eventually they go insane from all these visions. So she decides she's going to try and help him and she thinks Elizabeth is the one causing this. He's like, no, Elizabeth's my best friend. She's so good and all this. Well, that's because she's kind of like charmed him. So it's about what she finds out, how she's discovering how to use her magic on her own, and how she, is becoming as a witch. And they have what's called a steadfast, and that's where when you cast magic, if there's somebody around, it's always been in the past, and in this story, men could not be witches. They didn't do magic, and they couldn't even tell them about magic. And this talks all the way back to the Salem witch trials. It talks about it. And that if you tell a man about your magic, because her dad doesn't know anything about it, if you tell any man about it, then you're like shunned. They don't want men to know anything about the magic. Well, she cast this thing to try and find her steadfast, which is a person who is not magic, but has the ability to heighten your magic. It's kind of like your Batman, it would be your Robin. It's somebody that's there that heightens your magic and helps you in all this. And she thinks it's going to be her best friend Verlaine because they instantly had a bond. Well, it's not. It's Mateo. Well, that has never happened. There's never been a guy that's a steadfast, and she can't understand how this happened. There's a couple other witches in town. They think she's done something black magic to make this happen. They're super upset. They don't want this going on, and she doesn't know how it happened. It's never happened through all of history, but somehow he's her steadfast. So he is what enhances her magic. So that's what this is about. The second book is already out, and it is called Steadfast. So that tells you what it's kind of about.
I think the mother has something to do with it.
So I think the mom has something to do with it too, but you don't know it in this book.
Right.
You find out why he becomes her steadfast, but I don't want to give that away because that's part of the story. But it's really good. There was a lot going on. It really kept me interested, and I've read her other books. I really like Claudia Gray. She wrote a series called Evernight, I think. And it was about vampires. And I had read that series, and she's got a couple more out. She has a new one I think it's on the bestseller list called Fateful. She's got several out in this time. She's written a lot, but this is a really good series.
Did we ever get that which series by that girl?
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I can't remember the names of the books.
You've never read them?
No.
You bought them?
A year ago.
Yeah, and also if you like witch books, this is Beautiful Redemption, which is the fourth in the Beautiful Creatures series. There's Beautiful Creatures, Beautiful Darkness, Beautiful Chaos, Beautiful Redemption. We do have all four. And this is also about a witch and about...
That is one thick book.
Yeah, they're all thick like this. But I read Beautiful Creatures in just a couple nights. The movie was okay, didn't really do it justice. They made the first movie, Beautiful Creatures, and I really enjoyed this book.
And that is why you don't read the book and watch the movie.
But that's what I like to do.
If you went and watched the movie, you would have thought it was fantastic if you hadn't read the book.
My husband went to this movie with me, and he did not understand half of what was going on. He's like, I'm lost, and I was getting irritated. I'm like, I know exactly what's going on, and that's because I read the book and could fill in the gaps. I think when you have a book this big and you make a movie, there's going to be a lot left out. And he was just like, I don't know what's going on. Yeah. In fact, I think at one point he fell asleep during the movie.
That's because men can't know about witches.
Maybe that is what it is. Here we go. But I think even in the back, there's a picture of the cast from it. But yeah. So this is a great series, and there's actually a spin-off on this series now about one of the other characters, and I think it's called Dangerous Creatures, I think is what it is. Yeah, and it's about the dark side of the magic.
Not beautiful.
Yeah, dangerous. So,
dangerous.
This is by Cami Garcia and Margaret Stoll. I forgot to say that. And another good one that everyone's gone on about. I have not read this series. I have read that one. I haven't read this one. This is called Hex Hall.
You've read all four?
No, I've read the first two.
Oh. Hex
Hall, this is by Rachel Hawkins, and there I think is 4 books. We have all 4 of these also. And this is about this girl who her mom's mortal. Her dad, I guess, was a warlock. She was never told she had magic. So one day, hello, I have magic. So she just starts casting a lot of things she shouldn't. Well, there's one night at prom, and I guess she gets a little overboard. Let's put it that way, at prom. So her dad says, you know what? You need to be put somewhere where someone can teach you how to use your powers with other kids like you. So that's where Hex Hall comes in. And it is a, academy for witches, warlocks, all sorts of...
Like a Harry Potter place.
Kind of, yeah. But there's all sorts. I think there's a vampire.
No, you didn't read this
No,
one?
I have not read this series. But I did think that
Is this the first book in
this
the
is
series?
the first one, Hex Hall. And then
How many
there's,
books are there?
I think there's 4 right now. 4 or 5. Might be 5.
Wow.
Yeah. And we have all of those. I think the covers are kind of neat because they show like the prim proper
Right.
schoolgirl, and then you turn it upside down, and then you see like the alter ego.
Mhm.
So I thought they were kind of, all the covers are like this, where they showed 2 sides. So I haven't read this one yet, but I think it would be really cool, especially if you like witches.
Just
So
so many good books.
there are so many good books. It's overwhelming. Every week when I have to pick 2, I'm like, I don't know where. It's like, yeah, it's so hard. I know.
And I hate starting series because then it takes so long to get back to the second or the third book unless you read them all.
And it's hard for me because I don't want you
Right.
guys to have to listen to for 5 weeks the same series.
Well, and plus, if they haven't read the first one or the second one, then they're already knowing what's going to happen
And
in the
that's
third.
the other problem. So I read a lot of the first books of a series and never get to read anymore. I want to, except when I'm on vacation or whatever. That's the only time on my downtime that I get to read the second in a series or the third. There's a few series where I couldn't wait. I had to read them. But a lot of times, unfortunately, I only get to read the first. So that's like my curse. First book series. So a lot of times I try not to pick series here lately so that I don't feel that way. But
You know, it is. I have read a lot about the Salem witch trials and all that kind of stuff, and that is on my bucket list to go out to Massachusetts to go to some. Even though I hear, that's the sad part is when something like that historically happens, they commercialize it to the point that when you go there, you don't know what's real and what's not real.
Mhm.
And that's kind of what do I want to say, the catch-22 of the whole, of doing that. And growing up, my absolute favorite show was Bewitched. In fact, I bought
I liked
all the
Bewitched.
season, movie or TV series seasons.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh, I love that show.
Yeah.
Love it. And you said that, and there was also the Witches of Eastwick, or
Mhm.
whatever one had Cher,
Witches of
and it
Eastwick.
had Jack Nicholson
Susan
as the
Sarandon and
Yes.
Michelle Pfeiffer. Mhm.
yes, yes.
I actually named my female, the oldest black cat, Sabrina, from Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Right. And then they had also done a spinoff from Bewitched. What was
About
her?
Tabitha.
Tabitha.
Mhm. Yeah.
Horrible movie. I mean, horrible TV series.
Yeah.
I couldn't wait for that to come out, so I, of course, watched. And the only good thing is, I thought for sure What's-Her-Face would come from Bewitched and be her mom. No, they had Endora on there. And they had the actual Endora on there.
The
I
grandmother.
Thought, yeah, and
Mhm.
I thought, oh, this is horrible.
Elizabeth Montgomery said no way, I guess.
Yeah, I think so.
Mhm.
Well, and also, she ended up dying of cancer, so I don't know if
Mhm.
maybe she was sick during that time.
Yeah, I don't know.
And maybe I don't know. But anyway.
But yeah, I like witches. I've watched
I
a
do.
lot of witch
I-
shows,
I
read
do.
witch books, and yeah.
I do. I love that kind of stuff. Like, of course, as I've said before, love the Twilight Zone, love all that kind of.
And then not too far from here, we have the Wiccan community.
Well, they left.
Did they leave?
They got kicked out of Hoopston.
Hoopston?
Yes, they did. There was such an uproar about it that they've moved over to Potomac or something like that.
I think it's interesting though, because Wiccans isn't witchcraft actually. Wiccans is the belief in nature.
Earth, yes,
Mhm.
they love Mother Earth.
Mm-hmm.
But they do believe in the spells and.
Mm-hmm. But yeah,
Okay.
it's a little different. But
Yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, they had where there for a while there you could go in for like the day or something and sit in on their.
Well, they actually had a shop
yeah.
that you could go in and buy stuff.
But then I thought you could sit in for a day on classes or something.
Don't.
I could have swore you did.
Well, and they say it's not. They actually say it's a religion.
Right.
And and that was another thing that they were having a problem with is that they they wanted to be looked at or TV series seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, I love that show.
Yeah.
Love it. And you said that, and there was also the Witches of Eastwick or
Mhm.
whatever one had Cher,
Witches of
and
Eastwick.
it had Jack Nicholson
Susan
as the
Sarandon and
Yes.
Michelle Pfeiffer. Mhm.
yes, yes.
I actually named my female, the oldest black cat, Sabrina, from Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Right. And then they had also done a spinoff from Bewitched. What was
About
her?
Tabitha.
Tabitha.
Mhm.
Horrible,
Yeah.
horrible movie. I mean, horrible TV series.
But
I
yeah.
couldn't wait for that to come out, so I of course watched. And the only good thing is, you know, I thought for sure what's her face would come from Bewitched and be her mom. No, they had Endora on there, and they had the actual Endora on there.
The
I
grandmother.
Thought, yeah, and
Mhm.
I thought, oh, this is horrible.
Elizabeth Montgomery said no way, I guess.
Yeah, I think so.
Mhm.
Well, and also, you know, she ended up dying of cancer, so I don't know if
Mhm.
maybe she was sick during that time.
Yeah, I don't know.
And maybe I don't know. But anyway,
But yeah, I like witches. I've watched
I
a lot
do.
of witch
I-
shows,
I
read
do.
witch books, and yeah.
I do. I love that kind of stuff. Like, you know, of course, as I've said before, love the Twilight Zone. Love all that kind of.
And then not too far from here, we have the Wiccan community.
Well, they left.
Did they leave?
They got kicked out of Hoopston.
Hoopston?
Yes, they did. There was such an uproar about it that they've moved over to Potomac or something like that.
I think it's interesting though, because Wiccans isn't witchcraft actually. Wiccans is the belief in nature.
Earth, yes,
Mhm.
they love Mother Earth.
Mm-hmm.
But you know they do believe in the spells and
Mm-hmm. But yeah,
Okay.
it's a little different. But
yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, they had where there for a while there you could go in for like the day or something and sit in on their.
Well, they actually had a shop
yeah.
that you could go in and buy stuff.
But then I thought you could sit in for a day on classes or something.
Don't.
I could have swore you did.
Well, and they say it's not. They actually say it's a religion.
Right.
And, you know, and that was another thing that they were having a problem with is that they, you know, they wanted to be looked at as a religion. So, of course, they wanted to write a lot of things off on their taxes. And it just got to be a little bit, I don't know.
Problematic.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Okay. So enough about witches. We will go on to movies. I've watched several, but I'm only going to talk about one. And this is the top one that is being rented right now according to Redbox. And this is Jack Ryan, Shadow Recruit. This is based on a movie, it's based on a book by Tom Clancy. And this, I guess there's like
a lot
of books, like 20, 26 books written about this character, Jack Ryan. And I don't even know if this is the most recent one. I have no
Harrison
idea.
Ford's played him before.
Oh, he has?
I'm pretty sure.
I don't even know who this guy is.
He was in Star Trek.
This guy?
Yeah.
I have no
I
idea.
think he was in Star Trek, and he was
I
in
have
that
no
other
idea.
one with Reese Witherspoon, where there was like two guys vying for her attention.
Oh, Thieves or something. Yeah, I know
Isn't
what
that
they.
the
Yeah.
same guy?
Yeah, I couldn't tell you.
I think
I
it
don't
is.
think so.
I thought it was, but
I don't know.
Anyway,
I should have researched it a little bit more to tell you the actors, but it's your basic spy kind of movie, and I think it only got a rating of 6.2 out of 10. I think it's a lot like the James Bond characters. I think it's going to be that kind of series. I think they're going to keep making them and making them, and it's going to be another James Bond because I don't think they're even making James Bond movies anymore. I couldn't.
I don't think it's been a while since
It's been a
I've
while,
done-
and I had heard
Done.
that they were done. I mean, I just heard that they were having a hard time getting actors that wanted to be pigeonholed into doing that all
Yeah,
the time.
I think this guy's done Jack Ryan. I think Harrison Ford did Jack Ryan, and I keep thinking that Ben Affleck did a movie as Jack Ryan.
Oh, really?
I could be wrong, but I think so.
Well, I'm not really into these kinds of movies, so that I guess that's why I don't know that much about it. This is the first time I've ever heard of one of these films.
Oh, really?
So, but anyway, this is the newest one. So if you're into those kinds of,
Maybe it was Matt Damon. I don't know. Those two I always.
it kind of reminds me a lot of the very first with Bruce Willis.
Die Hard.
Yes, it kind of reminds me of the very first Die Hard. It's that kind of movie. It has to do with a Russian guy, and he gets brought into the CIA to help the CIA track down this guy and find where all the money's going and.
Espionage and all that. Yeah.
Yes, and of course there's the love romance in there, and you know when they can't get to him, then they go towards the love
Probably a movie
romance.
guys would like.
Probably, and that's probably who's doing a lot of the renting of this movie, I would say.
Yeah. Shoot 'em up, sort of.
Yeah, except
Action.
there's really not that much shooting up as there is.
Chases.
The more
or-
intrigue, the
Intrigue,
more
okay.
finding out where the money is and where it's going and how we get our money back and just that CIA. It also, the guy that was in Field of Dreams, Kevin
Costner.
Costner. It has Kevin Costner in it. He's the one that recruits him into the CIA. And then just to keep you up on the music, still on the top Billboard is John Legend, All of Me. If you listen to Ryan Seacrest, Top 40, it is, oh, I forget the song, Not a Bad Thing, Justin Timberlake, the 2020 Experience. On the country, what's his face? Who was that we talked about last time? Has fallen out. What's his name?
Luke Bryan.
Luke Bryan. He has fallen out, and he is now replaced by Florida Georgia Line. And what's the name of the song? I can't remember.
No, I can't either. But I like Florida Georgia Line.
I can tell you here in just 1 second. It is called This Is How We Roll. Very good.
I like
Very good song. It's kind of a rap, kind of country, kind of, I think it epitomizes what every country boy thinks of for